you can earn $600,000 a year in Silicon Valley and still feel like you're not getting ahead. And that's not because you're doing something wrong, but because the system you're operating in is actually quietly working against you. I'm Hilary Hendershott, founder of Hendershott Wealth Management. We publish content to help you strengthen your financial life, grow your net worth, and feel supported through the moments that matter. If that's the kind of guidance you think you might be looking for, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. So let me show you what I mean about how the tax system works. At senior levels in Silicon Valley, your marginal tax rate can exceed 50% federal, state, investment tax. So every additional dollar you earn is effectively split. Half goes to you, half goes to the government. And that's before we even talk about equity, because RSUs don't solve this problem, they amplify it. When your shares vest, they're taxed as ordinary income. And if the stock rises after that, you now owe capital gains on top. So the same dollar gets taxed more than once as it moves through your financial life. And this is where things start to break down because most people respond by selling shares at vesting just to cover the tax bill, which means less capital stays invested and less capital compounds over time. Your stock has to double just to get you back to where you started before the tax bill arrived. Now layer in risk. A natural impulse is to not sell anymore, especially if your vested shares go on a run. But when your company's stock becomes a large percentage of your net worth, you're no longer just an employee. You're highly exposed to a single outcome. And if that stock falls after you've already paid taxes on it, you can end up in a position where you paid taxes on value that no longer exists. That's not a rare scenario. It happens more often than you think. So you're stuck between two uncomfortable choices: stay concentrated and take on risk, or diversify and trigger a massive tax bill. Most people don't realize that there is a third path. And that path allows you to start reducing risk without immediately giving up a large portion of your wealth to taxes. This is tax-aware investing. It's not a tactic, it's a system that works for you. A way of designing your portfolio so taxes are considered from the beginning, not dealt with after the fact, because the goal isn't to eliminate taxes. That's rarely realistic. The goal is to control when and how they show up so more of your capital stays invested for longer. And over time, that changes everything. It allows you to gradually reduce concentrated positions, to manage gains more intentionally, and to keep more of your money compounding. For high earners in high tax environments, these differences add up to millions over time. This is not theoretical. We've seen what happens when people ignore the drag the tax code adds. During the tech bubble, many employees held concentrated stock positions, some out of inertia, to avoid triggering taxes. And companies like Cisco and Lucent, who were building the internet's backbone and printing shareholder value along the way, saw their stock prices surge, creating enormous paper wealth on the way up. Employees felt confident holding on, partly because selling meant a large tax bill. And when the market turned, Cisco stock fell roughly 85% from its peak and took decades to recover. Lucent lost over 90% and never recovered. In many cases, employees who held also lost their jobs while they watched their net worth collapse. And they still paid taxes on gains that had already disappeared. They weren't making reckless decisions. They just didn't have what we have now, which is a system to navigate the tax code legally to your benefit. At Hendershott Wealth Management, this is exactly the problem we're solving. We call it ultra tax efficient wealth management. It's not a product, it's an ongoing process that integrates tax strategy directly into how portfolios are built and managed. If you're a high earner and your financial life is starting to feel more complex, tax heavy, this is exactly the kind of conversation you should be having. You don't need to have everything figured out, but you do need to understand whether your current approach is helping you keep what you're earning. And if you reach a point where you'd like help making those decisions with clarity, you can schedule a conversation with our team. Thanks for being here.